This week, Iran is celebrating its second National Day of Nuclear Technology. Its president crowned the festivities with announcing the installation of 6,000 new centrifuges at the uranium enrichment plant in Natanz. At the same time, the U.S. is continuing its efforts to contain that country's nuclear program. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is meeting with German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier. They are working together on a dual-track policy of wider sanctions, along with more negotiations with Iran.
Now we're talking amongst the Europeans about taking additional sanctions. We have not yet reached agreement on that, but intensive negotiations are going on.
The UN Security Council recently imposed a third round of sanctions on Iran for its refusal to meet international demands to stop uranium enrichment, which the West fears can be used to make a nuclear bomb. Along with sanctions, the U.S. is trying to refresh negotiations with Tehran.
Obviously offered Iran, I believe, a very good package of incentives to do what it should do. The Iranians make all kinds of claims all the time, and I think we'll just have to rely on the IAEA. It would be better if the IAEA had better access for the Iranian nuclear program so that they could verify some of these claims.
So far, Tehran has considered enriching uranium for its claimed peaceful energy production as non-negotiable. Troubled by this position, the Senate convened last week to discuss a new bill, S-970, to create a nuclear-free Iran. It uses a system of economic rewards and more sanctions. The bill already has some critics.
This provision would seem to prohibit the export of medical devices to Iran and could hinder the ability of NGOs or news organizations to work on humanitarian activities in Iran.
The bill seeks to impose sanctions on foreign companies doing business with Iran.
Our own unilateral sanctions have a very limited impact. Iran is making more than $70 billion more per year from oil exports than it was 8 years ago. The reality of the modern world is there are a lot of other countries out there with money and banks and who buy oil. And that's why it's so important as much as possible to get countries like Russia and China on board.
Iran imports 40% of its gas because its refining capacity is so low. That is a real point of vulnerability for Iran. Going after that, working with our allies, working with Iran's neighbors that are exporting to it, is in fact very useful.
Minister Steinmeier is meeting with the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency this Thursday. They'll discuss Iran's nuclear file at an international conference on nuclear fuel supply in Berlin.